everyone, Coach Blossom here. Just getting ready for some meal prep Sunday and decided to make some red sauce today, some Italian red sauce. I really like this recipe because it's super easy. You will never want to make a pasta dish or any sort of meal for your kids or for your family using jarred sauce. It's full of sugar, it's full of sodium. It's actually kind of awful. When you start having your own sauce, you're gonna really appreciate the difference, I promise you. So how we're gonna start this is with a mirepoix. I know it sounds so fancy, it's about as fancy as I'm gonna get today. Mirepoix is basically a French culinary term for celery, carrots, onions, but since I'm going to make it Italian, I guess it's called a sofrito. Language is not my strong suit, so that is the only language lesson we will have today. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with this because it's the base to basically add some complexity into the sauce. So I've just put some olive oil in here. I'm going to turn this up onto like medium, and to get everything starting to caramelize and to bring some of the sugars out, I'm only going to start with the carrots and with the onions. Now I've got a lot here because I'm making a double batch. I like to freeze this so that I have it for the next time. It's all about just being prepared. So I'm gonna double this recipe. So I've got probably here maybe 2 carrots. I got about 1.5 onions here, and then I probably have 6 celery. It's all kind of gauging it to make sure that it's even, so it depends on the size of everything. And then I'm gonna throw some garlic in here as well. As I said, let's see, there we go. We got some garlic in there. We got the carrots, we got the onions. So those are gonna start to work and do their magic and start to break down and start to caramelize. So then I'm gonna add the celery. The celery is actually gonna add some saltiness in there so that you don't have to add additional salt until you put the tomatoes in. But for right now, again, it's just gonna kind of give you a nice base. All I'm gonna do once this is done and all the magic is happening, I'm really just going to add in some canned tomatoes, which I'll show you when I get to that point. And I'm also gonna add some red wine in the process, because again, it's just gonna give you a nice depth of flavor. So you can see I've now added the red wine to the vegetables. They were in good shape. I didn't measure precisely. I really just sort of poured the bottle in until the vegetables were covered. So at this point, what it's going to do is it's going to boil. The alcohol will start to burn off. The flavor will really start to infuse into the onions and the celery, the garlic, the carrots, and then the liquid will start to evaporate. I just want to give you a quick peek on what the vegetables look like. You can see that the wine is pretty much gone and absorbed out of there. So now we're going to, let me just put you down right there. My production crew is still sleeping. So what we're gonna do is I've got 4 cans of tomatoes. As I said, I use San Marzano tomatoes. That's how I was taught, so I don't wanna move away from anything that I learned because it's always so delicious. I'm gonna drop those all in and just make sure you get all of that goodness outside of that can, because that's where all the flavor is. Because I'm half Italian, I like to get my hands a little bit dirty. I like to do things with my hands. So what's gonna happen is you could either use a potato masher or something like that to get the tomatoes broken down. You could wait till they cook a little bit more. I actually like to use my hands. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pick them up and I'm just gonna squeeze them so that it just starts to break down the flesh of the tomatoes, just to break them down. You don't have to be overly precise there. I guess the tomato got excited. So I'm just gonna add a little salt, a little pepper. And again, what's nice about, making your own sauce is that you actually get to regulate how much salt goes into your sauce. Some people like a lot more flavor. Some people don't like as much of a flavor. If it becomes too salty, you probably added too much. But if you put in the right amount of salt, it actually just enhances the flavor of the tomatoes. But again, if you've got any restrictions or you just don't like the flavor, you can always dial it back. If you buy a jar, you really have no choice. And then for a little bit of heat, I do add crushed red peppers. That also is going to depend on how much heat you like, if you like any at all, but this is just a nice touch. So the sauce has simmered for probably 2 to 3 hours. I kind of just forgot about it and left it on low. The last step is to just use the hand mixer, because as you saw earlier, I had a lot of my knife cuts were a little bit rougher, which is totally fine, because when I use the hand mixer at the end, it blends it out into this really nice, thick, delicious sauce. I started making this sauce a couple of years ago when my kids were a little bit younger, and if I had tried to give them a sauce that was chunky and it had carrots and celery and onions in it, they probably would have turned their nose at me. I can guarantee they would have. But now they actually help me make it because they know it's so delicious. But at the time, my secret was I would actually use this hand blender, and it gives it such a nice consistency now and nice and thick and delicious. So if you want to come in a little bit closer, my production crew has finally woken up. I can show you how nice and thick and delicious this is, and I'll just test it one last time for flavor. And it's perfect. Ready for pasta, ready for noodles, ready for whatever it is that you want to put it on. Happy Sunday and happy meal prepping. Bye.